All recording as of now. Welcome to Finding Your 300-Year-Old Grandma Using 21st Century Technology with Sarah Gutman.
So anyway, hello everybody again. And as Madeline said, if you want to share your video, please go ahead. Any questions? I'm going to be doing a lot of sharing websites. So feel free to, maybe if you have a cell phone, get ready to take a picture of the slides. You're welcome to do that. Also too, if you want to do a screenshot, I know if you have a Mac computer, if you hit no, lying to you. I'm looking at it as I'm doing it. If you hit Control, Command, and the number 4 at the same time, so Control, Command, 4, you can do a screenshot and get the information that way. So, and if I'm talking too fast at any point, please let me know and I'll slow down for you. All right, just a little bit about myself. I started doing this. Yes, did somebody have a question? Oh, I think someone was just practicing with the camera. I started doing this when I was 13 years old, before the internet. I'm 38 years old now. So using this 21st century technology is something that I've been able to participate in, which is really exciting, and really exciting too for my parents, because my parents were the ones who were driving me down to the library on weekends when I wasn't telling my friends and I was asking them to help me search through microfilm. So just to be able to do this from your own computer, is amazing. And we're going to talk about a few different things. So just a little overview of what we're going to talk about. The big 4 and some tips and tricks with that.
Nothing.
What the big 4 actually is.
Call you back.
And
Okay,
we're going to
I'll call you
talk
in an
about,
hour.
I think you're unmuted. Also about setting a purpose, how to use Cindy's list and Family Search Wiki to find what's actually out there before you start searching. Exploring the website Find a Grave, how to go about choosing your newspaper, how to actually look at your ancestor's house, the best military sites, taking a look at like these niche American populations, some of the best sites to go to in other countries, and also where to go if you need some little extra help or guidance. So the first thing that you want to do is kind of ask yourself, what are you looking for? Because if you just go in with a broad, like, whatever comes at me, you're going to spend a lot of money. So this is kind of narrowing your focus and also narrowing your budget. Some things that you might want to be looking for in particular is finding out if you have any patriot ancestors, as in someone who fought in a war. You want to learn more about a great grandfather. You want to learn about an immigrant. Kind of zooming in on maybe a person or a branch or even a task that you want to learn about. I wouldn't recommend going right away and getting subscriptions to all of these sites, because you want to kind of focus in on this person, and then maybe you could stop your membership for that site and then pop over to a different site. So just trying to get the most out of your money. Also, just a little disclaimer, I don't work for any of this stuff. I'm not plugging anything. This is stuff that I have found to be useful and good. So hopefully it might help you also. One thing to know when you're doing genealogy and you're looking at websites is the Church of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church, is really, really key in collecting all of these records for genealogical research, which is fantastic. I'm not Mormon. I don't, have that background, but I do work with a lot of other genealogists who are, and it's really interesting the things that they say. But why that's important is the Church of Latter-day Saints owns a lot of most of these websites. So based on where you go, you're going to maybe get directed more towards the church's own websites. So just keep that in mind, and I'll talk about that as we go on. So the big 4 are Ancestry.com, Family Search, Find My Past, and My Heritage. I think the one that probably everybody's most familiar with is Ancestry. If I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, I was trying to wonder if you could kind of raise your hand or say I or whatever, if you have an Ancestry account, an active Ancestry account. Okay, good.
I do, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Okay, perfect. So I'll go into that a little bit. Also, the Family Search. So Ancestry and Family Search are owned by the Mormon Church. Family Search is a free website, which is great. They have a lot of terrific records, and I'll show you how to use some of those things. Be very careful if you build a tree on Family Search, because anybody at any time in the world can change everything that you have put on it, which can be very dangerous. Because the idea is this one world family tree, and for everybody to be connected, and it does play into the Mormon faith and traditions. So that's why that is. Ancestry, it's your tree. No one else is going to touch that. But anyway, I'll talk about that. So also to findmypast.com is an independent one. And that is really essential. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. If you have ancestors who came from the British Isles. So that is Ireland, England, Scotland, and Wales. I think I hit all of them. And that's really a great site if you have that. MyHeritage is the one, if you have German ancestors, that's the one you're going to want a subscription for. MyHeritage, which also does Scandinavian and French collections, and also the US, but they're really, their main focus is Germany and collecting those records. So I just wanted to point out some of the, hold on, I'm going to unscreen share this part here, and I'm going to go into a different screen share. So this is where we get to see my screen sharing abilities. Okay, so switch my screen. Okay. For people who have Ancestry, are you all seeing my Ancestry webpage right now? Cool. Okay, so for people who have Ancestry, when you do a search on Ancestry, your search results are only going through 20% of the records that they're showing you. So there might very well be more information on your family members that you're not seeing in those searches. It's one of those things that Ancestry is well aware of, and they talk about it, and they've been trying to fix it, but it really hasn't gotten solved. So the people who work for Ancestry always recommend that you go and search the card catalog. So in order to do that, you would go into your Ancestry account, you would hit the search button, and you go into card catalog. From there, you can then filter by the categories down here. If you look here, you can check on that you only want to see things that involve the censuses, immigration, military records, what have you. So you're only going to see results for that. Now, say for example, I wanted to find something for a naturalization record, a citizenship record for somebody from New York City. Well, the New York City naturalization records are on Ancestry. However, they do not show up in any search, and they also don't show up if I was to click the immigration and emigration button. So what I would have to know is to go into keywords, and I would hit New York, and it might be called the Eastern District, and I'm totally blanking on that right now, naturalization. Oh, here we are, perfect. So say I wanted to just look at the New York naturalization records. Nothing from this collection is going to pop up on any of my searches. I'd have to go specifically in to this collection and check it out. Also too, after I check this collection, say, nothing that I wanted was there, check over on the side here on these related data collections, because they'll kind of point you into things that, are coincide with it. So over here it says, you also might want to check out the index to petitions for naturalization. So I would then click on that file and individually go and check out these websites. A good hint to do, which is also a requirement for like a professional genealogist, is to keep a research log. And a research log really is, I do mine on a 4-column Word document, and I just put the source that I'm looking at, the record collection, and what I'm looking for in my results. And it is time consuming, but it also in reverse saves you time, because maybe you don't remember if you searched a certain spot. That way, at least you have kind of an idea and you're not reinventing the wheel over and over again. Now, so that's Ancestry. Does anybody have any questions on that before I move over? No? Okay. So the other one, if you wanted to go into Family Search, again, this is a totally free website. You have to just create a login, and then you're good to go for forever. What is super duper exciting about Family Search is by the end of this year, at least that was the goal before this whole Corona thing happened. By the end of the year, all of the microfilm that's inside of this huge library inside of Salt Lake City is going to be placed on the internet so that people can look at these records, and they don't have to travel to Salt Lake City to get access to all of this, which is really, really exciting. The caveat to that is these records are not indexed, so you have to really know what you're looking for. But over time, hopefully people will volunteer and you'll be able to find out more information, find these more records. But in the meantime, so say you go into Family Search, you're going to go into the top button that says Search, bing, Records. Okay. So say I wanted to search for, hold on a second, my thing's being blocked. Okay, so say I wanted to search for somebody in New York, okay? I wanted to search for John Gutman. If I put John Gutman in this historical records, just as it is, I'm not doing anything, it's gonna give me a lot of different John Gutmans. Even if I put New York, whatever, it still even might search records that are in Connecticut or Missouri or whatever, even though I'm saying that I want New York records. So what I can do is I can click on this map here, and you can really do it for any state or country. I could do it over in Italy. I could see the collections they have for that. But anyway, let's go back to New York because that's where I'm currently sitting. So I would scroll to New York. And then I would be able to, using this, click the actual collections that I want to look at. So, maybe I don't want to see any census records, but I do want to see, birth, marriage, and death, marriage records. I can go and I can click all of these different record collections, that I just want to search in, and I'm not searching the other ones. So what that's doing is it's really putting the best results up top first so that you're seeing what really pertains to you. Also too, if you scroll down further, you can see what is the image only historical records. This is what's going to be coming online this coming year with all the records, again, that I just talked about, the microfilm. So say you don't see the results that you want in the top, you can start searching all of these historical records. They'll give you more options to drop down. And although these records aren't indexed, they're usually in separate books that are listed by year and by alphabetical order. So there is a way, don't get really nervous all of a sudden if you're not really quite sure. It's not a simple click. You might have to do some digging. Don't get put off by that. But if you get frustrated, you don't have the time, keep also checking back because some of these new record collections can be available. If you look over here, you'll just even see like the current indexing process, what people are working on. So you can check that out too. Another site, which is one thing that's really good, is to know what's available before you drive yourself crazy looking for something. I get a lot of requests as a professional genealogist, to go find somebody's birth certificate who was born in, like, say, 1776. So the problem with that is nobody was issuing birth certificates at that time. And New York itself, the New York State, wasn't issuing any birth, marriage, or death records until 1880. So before you even start looking for something, you want to know if it actually exists in the first place. So a good site to go to, this one's totally invaluable, is the Family Search Wiki. FamilySearchWiki.org. And so what you do with Family Search Wiki is, okay, so here it is. Dun, dun, dun. Say I wanted to know New York vital records. So I would click on my topic that I want to know, and this is going to take me down here, and it's going to tell me right away the earliest things that I could possibly hope to find. So the earliest records anywhere found in the state of New York is 1847, but there wasn't a statewide compliance until 1880. So that's going to set me on my quest, so I could be like, all right, you know what, I'm not going to bother looking for that. I have to look for something else kind of parallel to that. Family Search Wiki is also then going to tell you where you can find these certain record collections. So say you want to go and do your search on Family Search or Ancestry, they're going to put it there. They'll also put to about, if, say, for example, here, if you wanted to learn about how do I go about ordering a vital record in New York, this website, Suffolk County, you click on that and it should, now that I'm saying it, pop you over here, and it's going to allow you information about how to obtain vital records from Suffolk County. Now you can also do that. What I do when I'm doing something, I go biggest to smallest researching. So say I wanted to learn about records in Port Jeff. I would go on Family Search Wiki and I would put in New York. I learn about whatever's available in New York. I would then do Suffolk County, and then I would also do Port Jeff. You also, one of the things that's important when you're doing Family Search Wiki is there's a part in here when you go down to like a county level is to see how borders had changed. So it's going to be important for me to know that before it was Suffolk County, it was Nassau County. So I might want to be looking at, could records that I'm looking for be in this parent county? And you click on the county with this and it'll tell you, let me see here. So if I did Port Jefferson, now I know it's in here because I was just looking at it, but of course now it wants to go away. But anyway, if I did Port Jefferson, New York, Suffolk County, oops. It'll tell me the different offices and everything about what it was. So even to here, Suffolk County, you can see they have the borders change, boundary changes, neighboring counties, other places to look. So it'll give a little background about when it was. And here, neighboring Connecticut counties, I guess. They'll tell you all the information. So that's a really fun thing to kind of check out, see what's available. Now let me unstop. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to put it in the chat, or if you want to talk, go for it. Good? Okay. Oh, someone's coming through. All right, now let me go back over to my presentation here. Screen share. 1 second. Okay. Okay. Should be back to this now. And oh, through it. Okay, the other thing, kind of along the list of Family Search Wiki, is the website Cindy's List, CYNDIS. My sister's name is Cindy, and I always spell this wrong because her name is spelled Cindy the regular way. But anyway, Cindy's List is kind of like one of those, if you've ever heard like organized chaos, Cindy's List is organized chaos, basically. I like Family Search Wiki better because I feel like, you know, everything's where it should be and it's easy to grab. You know, Cindy's List is just kind of off the rack. So with Cindy's List, you can go in the search and you can kind of even scroll. They'll tell you kind of the different things that they have available. It's broader, so you're not going to really be looking for Suffolk County, but you could look for New York. So there's all these different, you know, odds and ends. You click on those things, different sites to go to for occupations. And so, for example, if I was looking for, if I had French ancestry, if I click on France, it's going to give me then a breakdown of all the different categories and indexes. And that's just going to really kind of give me when I click on them, it's going to give me like a list of websites. Sometimes they have a little bit of description, but if I really want to know something and I really want to get to it easy, I'm going to do Family Search Wiki. But some people really swear by Cindy's List. So I think it's really kind of just a personal preference thing. You know, if you're more of an organized chaos person versus more of you need something laid out for you. You know, it's all about you. Whatever's comfortable. So that's just, you know, one of the sites. One of the big non-subscription sites that's really helpful is Find a Grave. This is completely free. findagrave.com. It is run by just regular volunteers. Sometimes I'll be in a cemetery and because this is like what I do with my kids, and I'm weird, but whatever, it's free. So I'll go in a cemetery and we walk around and we'll see like a grave, and I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it on the website. So that other people will be able to have, you know, the image of the grave, and I could put the cemetery that it's in. So just something that you can find on Find a Grave. This is the tombstone that's on there of my great grandmother. I didn't put this on there. It was just on there, which is really cool. And it's a lot of them are now having pictures. It'll read usually the stone. So you can see it there, but even if they don't picture the stone, a lot of times people will put the information that's on the stone. They'll just type it in. And then it says here the name of the cemetery and where the cemetery is at. So what I do is I'm always suspect of websites that anybody can edit. Which is awesome, but at the same time, you don't really know what the person is doing, if they're really doing the right information. So for me, when I go on Find a Grave, and you can search by cemetery, you can search by area, you can search by last name. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can search. I'll find the information for the cemetery and I'll call up the cemetery and I say, you know, like I saw that you had a grave site for Monica Warner. Can you just, if I didn't see the image, can you tell me who's buried in the plot with her? Can you also tell me, you know, maybe who purchased the plot, anybody else in the surrounding areas? I make like a day of it, you know, like I just call people and I talk to them for a while. If you're really lucky, on Find a Grave right underneath it, they'll also tell you who some of the other people are who are buried with them or who are buried near them. And if you're really lucky, they'll even include the obituary, which is really fun. If this was a live thing, I would be able to click on this and find out more about them. When you call a cemetery, if you call a cemetery, some of these cemeteries are not run by a particular person anymore or group, but their records are at like a historical society or a library. You can find out where that is. I also always ask the people at the cemetery if they can tell me who the funeral parlor was, because a lot of funeral parlors are maintained by generations, and you'll be shocked by the amount of records that these funeral parlors keep, and they're not held to that same privacy law. So I've called up funeral parlors and asked for records from people who died in the 1890s, and they're giving me the exact information that's on the death certificate because that's where they take it. And it's a great way to kind of bypass any type of fee that if you go to order something online or in person. And also too, with the find a grave and the information you can get off that, you can then look for obituaries, you can look for probate records, you can order death certificates. So it's also a really good one of those like jumping off sites to find other things. Speaking of newspapers and obituaries, there's a ton of different newspaper websites that you can choose from to get. Some of the ones I posted up here, one of the ones that's really, I guess, probably most well known is newspapers.com. And that is run by Ancestry. If you have an Ancestry account and you have like the highest membership that you can get a subscription to to newspapers as part of it. The New York Public Library, that has free access to a lot of newspapers throughout the world. So that's a good one to check out. And again, that's totally free. One that's like a secret squirrel, great website. If you have any family members in New York, is the fultonhistory.com website. It's right over here. It's very old-timey. It's this one guy runs it. I've emailed with him before. But I have family from Yonkers, New York. And I also have family from the city. And especially for Yonkers, for Westchester, Putnam, Dutchess County, even Syracuse, you get a whole bunch of, really, really great newspaper stuff for totally free. I actually found, I get out of my chair right now, but it's in my bathroom next to me. I found a newspaper ad, and I didn't even know that my great grandmother was a model for like the first dishwashers. And it was a newspaper article for GE dishwashers with Mrs. Gadati, that's my maiden name, talking about how much she loves her dishwasher, with her and her husband, playing a game of chess that they have now extra time for it. So like that was such a cool free find to check out. Now, before you get a newspaper subscription or sign up for any of these websites here, make sure you check out their collection, and you can do that for free. So you would go to one of these sites, and usually there's a tab that says either browse or collection, and just write the area that you're interested in. Say for example, you want Port Jeff, but Port Jeff, there's not a newspaper based in Port Jeff. You could do Suffolk County, see what's available, and also make sure the newspapers exist for the date range that you're interested in. Sometimes if I know a specific area that I'm interested in, I'll call up a local library and I'll ask them, what were the names of your newspapers that you had during, this time period? And they can usually tell me. And then I can then go on to these websites and see, if they carry this paper before I start spending all this money. Just to waste it, if they don't have something. Also to check your library websites, because sometimes they have, well, not necessarily your library. You want to go to the library that is in the area that you're looking at, but these libraries have free access to these newspaper archives. For example, I know Kumswag has access to the Newsday archives. Newsday's archives are not in any of these newspaper sites. So, there's a few different ways around it, but check out the newspaper sites. And one of the things that you want to look for in these newspapers, my favorite, the most telling things is, what the heck was that? There's just like a whole bunch of water going down. My husband was watching my kids, so we'll see how that turns out. But anyway, obituaries are great for kind of giving a glimpse into somebody's life. This over here is an obituary that I found on my great grandpa. And you can kind of even just get some more information about it. If you look at it, it tells you where he died, that he came from Czechoslovakia. It gives me kind of a time frame that he came to this country in, different societies he was part of that I could go and I could look for, maybe even like they have minutes for these meetings and they'll talk about members in them. And they also talk about, with obituaries, descendants who survived them and also where they're from. So there's a lot of leads in obituaries. So that's a great, newspapers are a great thing. Marriage announcements usually often come with a picture, and that's always fun. Birth announcements, daily happenings. My grandma, she was born in 1918. And there was a newspaper article about her 7th birthday, like with her friends that she had. And, it's just like sweet to see like something that took place in the 20s and how simple things were, back then. Graduations, where people were going to college or, they weren't going to college or what they were planning on doing. Also to any type of selling of properties will be listed sometimes. And then you can check that information for land records to get more information on things. There was also, they used to do, if somebody was getting a divorce, they would have to put that out. I have an article from my great aunt, and allegedly she had an affair with the guy who created Lowe's theaters. And there's a newspaper article about how she was this tawdry woman and her husband was divorcing her for all these illicit affairs. So something like that's really interesting. Business advertisements, as I mentioned with my great grandma being in the thing for the dishwasher. If your family owned a business, they might have something with that. Police blotters, because I know a lot of people get in trouble. Sometimes you could see some good pictures with that one. But it's really interesting. It really kind of gives a glimpse into people's lives. So I would definitely encourage people to get some type of newspaper subscription, whether it's free or not, to look into. Another fun thing to do is to use Google Earth. If you haven't had any experience with that, download a Chrome browser because it's not going to work on Safari. And you can go to Google Earth. And this is my town that my family came from in Italy, Faiano in Salerno. And what I did, I just went to Google Earth. I typed in the town, and if you're familiar with it, you can put a little man. I'm sure there's probably a more computer savvy way of describing this, but you put the little man and you can put him in a street view, and all of a sudden you're in the street and you can move your arrow up and down and you could see the houses. And just to kind of see what the village was like. I actually kind of using Google Earth, decided I wasn't going to go visit one of my ancestors' homelands because I was like, I don't want to be in this place after dark or any other time because this doesn't look safe. So, but it's a fun thing to do, and they have you'll be amazed all the different things that you can see, just the character you can get just by moving up and down. Wow, this place exists, It brings to life that information that's on the page about where somebody was born or died. So yeah, Google Earth is really a great tool. Jumping over to the military aspect. If you think, I'm a member of the DAR, I have 5 people in my family who were patriots in the American Revolution. Now, a patriot is not somebody who fought necessarily in the American Revolution, but contributed to the cause. And you can go on this website. It's a free website, dar.org. That specific link there will take you to the genealogy part. You can go into the DAR website and you can search your family name, and you can choose a state, either whether you think that they fought in or they lived in. Say if you have like a very popular surname, like a John Baker or whatever, you can kind of narrow it down, and it's going to give you it'll give you the results, but it'll also give you that person's spouse, when they were born, when they died, and any children, direct descendants under them who are listed under them. Say you see somebody who you think is related to you. You think like that might be a match, a tree up. It'll also give you the opportunity to purchase a specific DAR member's lineage. So say, for example, you came across, you thought me and you had like the same ancestor. I'll use my Captain Michael McGuire. You could pick his daughter, Mary, and you say, like, I think I'm related to her. You can then go in and you could purchase, it's not a lot, my whole family tree that I have on there to show my membership, and with documentations, and you can get that. You don't have to become a member of the DAR, but it is a really great resource. And the people have really done a great job of fact checking. So that's fun. The DAR does have a better membership genealogy search than the Sons of American Revolution. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a member. That's just kind of like a known thing. So the DAR is really great if you have a Patriot. If you're just looking for military records in general, Fold 3, not Folds 3. I always put the S in there. I don't know why, but I do. Fold 3 is run by Ancestry. If you have a subscription to Ancestry, a lot of times you might encounter the situation where they have a military record, but they say this is a Fold 3 record. They're going to require you to get an extra subscription to Fold 3. Drats. So military records, some things that you can find on there are draft records for World War I, World War II. They have a huge collection of that there. This here that I have a picture of is actually a internment record. My great grandfather, no, not my grandfather, my uncle Albert was killed in World War II in Italy. And the story always was, and my 9-year-old grandma was convinced that she lived in the house, whatever, that he died in Italy and his body remained there. Well, a couple years ago, I was on Fold 3 and I was looking around, and lo and behold, I found that they had moved his body to Pine Lawn. This family was from Yonkers. And I was so excited, and I went and I visited his grave for the first time. Anybody, let my grandma know. And she said that was the first time anybody in the family, would have visited him. His mother didn't even know that he had been brought back to America. They think that maybe like a brother had done this secretively. But I found this record on Fold 3, which is a really cool thing, I think. If you have anybody who you think was in the Civil War, there are websites that there's one with the national parks that show you you can type in a name and it'll give you the Civil War thing. But the problem is they're not very specific. So I tried to do somebody in my family, my surname is Baker, that I'm looking for, and everybody's named Baker. So that wasn't very helpful. However, you can go on Fold 3 and you can look more on the Civil War records. The best Civil War record to check is the widow's pension. That is money paid to, as it may sound, the widows of the Civil War. In the widow's Civil War pension, which you can go in and specifically check on Fold 3, that's really, they'll tell you the battles, they'll tell you the branch that they served in, really the best records for Civil War battles. And with Fold 3, you can also check it by individual, you could check it by branch in the military, and you can check it in like the war that they served in. So those are some goodies. For anybody who has any type of Mayflower descendancy, or anybody too who has family from New England, the American Ancestors, previously known as the New England Historical Genealogical Society, is a great site. As I said, it's a must for Mayflowers and New England ancestors. They offer both free and paid subscription. The paid subscription, I think, is like $90, and I've used the, I don't have Mayflower ancestors, but I definitely have used their site to get some, oh my gosh, what are they called? Marriage records for my ancestors from Boston in the 1880s. I was able to view that. But it's the Society of the Mayflower Descendants. They will refer you to this website because they kind of partner with it. That's really where you're going to go for your records. They also, they also have some articles and databases and classes that you can watch for free. If you have anybody, again, in the New England region or in the Mayflower. Check my time. I get so excited, like, so I have to just keep watching my time that I'm not going over. The next few ones, I don't have anybody in my family, but I think it's just, you know, other people might, so I just want to throw it out there. And this is where I just, so if anybody has any African Americans research in their family, there's a few different sites. There's AfriGenius, that offers a beginner's guide, census records, slave data collection, popular surnames for slaves, forums, chats, educational resources. The African map shows, that one's actually pretty cool. You can go on the different spots in Africa and it'll tell you, you know, what tribes were where. So that's a fun thing to point out. And if anybody is interested or needs any type of African-American research, I have a good friend of mine. She does, I'll plug her. Her website is Names, Date, Place. And her name is Cindy, and she's really great with African-American research. But the other one is Jewish research. This is the go-to for anybody with Jewish ancestry. Unfortunately, there's not a, I'm Catholic, and I know with Catholicism, there's dioceses that you can check in. From what I've heard, there's not a, I guess, mass place where they keep or store all the Jewish records. They're kind of all over the place. Jewish Gen has done its best to kind of grab all those records, including any records from the Holocaust, burials. There's databases for Jewish surnames. You can also share your tree and check out other members' trees that share Jewish roots. So that's that I heard, and I've heard that from other people that this is a really good website to use. Again, I don't have anybody in my family this, but I know a lot of people, other people do. Native American research, if anybody has any of these, is in their tree. This is actually, fun fact, for DNA, it's the hardest thing to pick up is the Native American ancestry in DNA. There's vital records for the Native American directory. There's a link for that there. Oh, looks like I put that twice. I'm sorry about that. But that was supposed to be, just looking at me here. I forgot what that one's supposed to be. I'm sorry, I wrote something else for that. But anyway, those are two really good sites for Native American research if anybody has any of that. Hopping over to the pond. By the way, does anybody have any questions about anything? Okay. So the next one I had mentioned before is for anybody with ancestors in the British Isles. So if you do, I really suggest getting a subscription to Find My Past. And I believe they have monthly subscriptions and they also have yearly subscriptions. Find My Past has a lot of these records from the National Archives of Ireland and also the National Archives of England. If you look down there, you can see them. And again, this is not a commercial. I had been looking for a branch of my family for years, over a decade. I got a subscription to Find My Past, and I immediately, within like an hour, added three more generations onto my tree with using Find My Past. Find My Past is also really cool because with the click of the button, you can actually order the original record from England or what have you to those spots, because it does work with these national archives. And every Friday they have like a fun name for it, but I'm forgetting what it is. But every Friday they release a new record or a new record group. So there's always new things to see with Find My Past. If you get a chance to, if you're unfamiliar with in Britain or England where places are, they have a gazetteer of British place and names. A gazetteer is basically a fancy name for a map and showing you what was someplace and now something else, kind of like an atlas sort of. But so if you weren't sure if, as wars and boundary changes, you can plug into a gazetteer and it'll give you some more information about that. I don't have Scottish ancestry, but I really wish I did, because I've heard fantastic things about the website Scotland's People. It's one of those websites where it's like almost too good to be true, that these people just have this great experience with that, great access to records, just really great. They have access to free wills that I guess you can get. But what they're really known for is church records. So although that the government wasn't taking these records, they have stuff that the churches were, and they can grab them. The National Archives of Ireland actually burned down in, I think it was 1922. So, which is, for genealogy reasons, like so sad to me. So the National Archives of Ireland, you're really going to find stuff that is earlier. So it's not as valuable. For Ireland, you're going to want to actually, for Irish research, find out the churches, the parishes that your families came from, and see if you can contact those directly. And that's where like the world of Google is really great for, if you know things like that. This one, is there anybody here who has Italian ancestry or is interested in researching Italy? I don't know if I have like a chat or anything here, but okay. I love doing Italian research. It's one of my favorite things. My kids and I last year became Italian citizens, so I was really excited about that. In Italy, like many other places, you need to know the exact town in order to do research. Family Search does not have a very good Italian sources of records. However, in the last few years, the Italian archives have shared their records online. And this over here is a birth record of my great-great-great-great-grandfather in Italy. If you go to this website with the Italian archives, they're going to ask if you're going to want to browse by region, which you do. But in order to do that, you really, again, need to know where your family was from. So if you click on the link, well, you're not going to click on the link because it's my computer. But anyway, you click on the link that's here for the Italian Gazetteer. You can use that and look to see where your family, say, for example, your family's from Salerno, Italy, okay? But you're not really quite sure the town. This Gazetteer is going to show you the different towns near Salerno that you can check out. Again, with the Italian archive site, it's not alphabetical. You're going to have to go into the specific town and manually go into the record collections by year and search all these different records. Don't get overwhelmed, because there are indexes either in the front, the middle, or the back, because God forbid anybody, agrees on where to put an index. But it is manageable, it is doable. You can look for this. I have, if anybody's interested, I do have another presentation all about, finding your Italian roots and ways to do that. With any of these websites that are in another language, if you go and use Google Chrome, you can switch the language on the actual page to English automatically. It's not going to switch what's in the record, but you can, again, switch, that just makes the life a little bit easier, that it's already in English.
Sarah?
Yes.
It's Madeline. Just wanted to let you know I've been monitoring the chat and we don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you. If anybody has any chat or any questions, please throw it in there. For anybody with German ancestry, one of the greatest resources for German ancestry is the church records. The website MyHeritage is the main, source, as of the big four, that's going to have the most church records for Germany, the most records for that. Due to war and history, and as I'm sure everybody knows what's going on in Germany's past, a lot of borders have changed. The website that's here is a gazetteer of German places. So you can click in a location and it'll give you the different places that it was at one point, and also try different spellings, because that can help too. For the church records, there's also a lot of church records that are not on MyHeritage. If you have Protestant family, you're going to want to check out the website Archeon. It is a paid website, but I've heard it's really great. And I believe that it is indexed, so you're just putting in your relatives' names and things are popping up rather easy. If you have people from the Catholic Church, their website is this Matricula. There's the website for that. There is no index, but like the Italian records, there are different ways of finding what you need that way. And then this website, which I am not even going to attempt to pronounce, that has records from places that were once in part of the German Empire that are not part of Germany anymore, including Poland. I was telling Madeline before people came on that the Family magazine, Family History magazine, Family Tree magazine, I knew I would get it right. Family Tree magazine puts out a great collection of different books. One of the books here, it's pretty big, is the Historical Atlas of Germany. It came out last year. And it's really nice because it has all the different maps for the different years. So you can kind of see where the borders have changed over time. And it gives you, there's some words here that will give you a description about what places were, so that you can kind of have a sense of the borders changing over time. Any questions or anything? Comments? Good? Okay. Madeline, if you see anybody in those chats, scream it out. Scandinavian records. Again, I am not going to attempt to pronounce these things because I'm just going to ruin it. But the Swedish church records, you can find this on the website listed there. They also have the Danish demographic database, the digital Danish immigration archive. So those are people coming from the different areas, and the National Archives of Norway. Those are all different websites to go on to kind of find out those Scandinavian roots. Just so you know, the the one with the Swedish church records that one's got really great reviews. It says that it's $180 a year if you have Swedish ancestry, but it goes on sale a lot, I guess, for membership. And they said it's all full digitized images, church records, also court and tax records, the military rosters, and I guess church congregation books too. And the digital immigration archives also contain the police records, and also immigrant letters and photos. So those are some fun things to check out. If you want some extra help as you're going along, I don't know about anybody else, but I do not do well with other languages. The website Fiverr, that's spelled that way, is the idea is that you can go on there for $5, beginning at $5. You can get people to do things for you. I use Fiverr a lot when I do a lot with Italian dual citizenship, getting people that. And I'll go on Fiverr and I have a person I work with on there, and they'll do a legal translation of documents for $10 for me, which is really great and really great quality. So Fiverr can help you out with especially translations of things. Facebook, you can join. I'm part of a lot of like ethnic and genealogy based groups, and they're really nice. I would say 95% of the time, that if you find maybe a record that's in another language, you can post a picture of that and people will say like, oh, and they'll translate it for you, or they'll give you some key words on there. You can also message board people and say, anybody have any tips for finding, my relatives in this part of Austria? And you'll get like some people that go back and forth on that. Google Translate is great for, just popping in some words and seeing, what comes out. Don't put too much stock into Google Translate. I'm sure many people already know that you don't always get the best translation, but it's something to kind of jump off of. Family Tree Magazine, without that book that I just showed. I have a few other here. Family Tree Magazine, their website, they have a store there and they have really great books. This one I have is the Italian Genealogy Guide, and inside in the back here are different, they talk about like the different numbers and like the different keywords that you're going to want to look at as you're doing these records. They also have guides on how to write letters to people. They also have places to write, the addresses of different localities and municipal places to write letters to, and that's for all these. I have a Polish and Czechoslovakian one, English, a whole bunch of really great stuff. So I really invite people to check out their website. Also too, if people it's not on here, but if people like to listen to podcasts, Lisa Louise Cook does Genealogy Gems, and I totally fangirled her at the big Roots Tech Genealogy Conference, and was like, I listen to you all the time on Saturday mornings, and she was really sweet, and her husband was nice. So Genealogy Gems, she always has some really great tips and stories about people finding family tree things, and she's great with releasing some of the new technology. And then also too, if people need any help, I am the Family Tree Climber. That's my website, The Family Tree Climber. And I'm a genealogist. I also do one-on-one guidance sessions. So if people are kind of stuck on different things, we could talk about it and I can help you work things out, people too. Two other things that I forgot to mention. One, this is actually a great book. I met the author of this. Again, I'm not selling this or anything, but it is very good. If you do have German church records, this book right here, if you could see it. But she really does a fantastic job of just dissecting German church records, telling you where to look for them, translating them, talking about the different types of handwriting that's popular for German records. So that's really great. And also too, for anybody who has gone and tried to reach out to places in Italy. This is another thing, and they were not getting any response. Is Italian municipalities will often not respond to you unless you have a PEC email. It's their certified email address. I happen to have one because I'm an Italian citizen, but they won't respond to you unless they see that. It's like a safety measure. If you do write or email anybody in a different country, make sure you're writing that in their language. I always write it in their language, and then I have the English translation so that later on I actually do remember what I wrote to them, because I'll forget and I'll think, oh, I like invited them to my son's birthday party. But that way I can, check it out. And again, these books here, they have some really great resources and just sample letters about how to do that. So that's pretty much what I have for everybody. Does anybody, I'm just gonna unstop screen sharing because we hit like the 1 hour mark. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything? I'm happy to answer.
But not to worry, that's what we join support.
Yes, Nicole? Oh, wait, somebody, sorry. I'm new to this, I don't know. I see Nicole. Yes, Nicole. Hi.
I was just curious how you got into doing this professionally.
Great question. So I was doing this for a very long time. As I mentioned, I started when I was 13, and I was just doing it for all these other people. And I was always just so into it. And I am a real dork that I love going to school. I have 3 master's degrees in other things, one of them being history. And I was like, you know what, why don't I just learn how to do this for real? So ICAP Gen is the certification process that I've been doing. And I just started my own business, and I work for this other company, Trace. And I do stuff with the Polish version of the show Finding Your Roots. And I work for different air companies, and I do a lot of freelance work. And honestly, and I'm not saying this, I'm doing it right now, my favorite is teaching these classes. I really like doing that. I'm a teacher by trade, but I've been staying at home with my kids for the past 6 years, but I really like doing this. So just teaching other people how to do it. Did you have any other questions?
That was a great presentation, Sarah. There's so much to digest. I mean, I just kept writing and writing and writing. I'm sure
that's what I was hoping people. I was like, just take pictures of your
screenshots. Yeah. So now's your chance to ask Sarah any questions. I really like what you asked her, Nicole, because I was thinking that too. It seems like such a great thing to to pursue. Is there anybody who's done some genealogy research and is kind of stuck right now, or just needed to get some tips?
Or any just in general questions or whatever?
Somebody
raising their hand, I can't see. Yes.
Yeah,
hi.
It's
Hi,
Annie. What I keep finding lately is my grandmother, both my grandmothers, and my great-grandmothers, they had a lot of children that no one ever talked about, that nobody, my grandmother and I were very close, and she talked about her siblings, but she had other siblings that she never mentioned, whether she knew about them or not. And then she had children besides my mother and her known siblings that she never talked about. So I'm finding that really kind of interesting right now, and doing a lot of whatever I can find on them. Very interesting.
It's also really interesting too. I always check sometimes when people they disappear from the records. Sometimes you'll just find these death records of kids that are just died really young, which is sad.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But also times people would just give away their children if they had too many, to those, if you ever read the book, The Orphan Train. And in Italy it is very popular to give people up for adoption, and for what we now refer to as adoption. They have what's known as the adoption wheel at some of these places, especially that was in Italy. Are you familiar with that?
No.
But basically what you would do is you would go to a convent, and on each convent it was kind of like a Lazy Susan and a door, and you would put the baby in one side of the Lazy Susan, you would ring a bell, and the nuns knew to come over, and they would spin the wheel, and there would be this baby. And sometimes villages, these women would then kind of volunteer to be like a baby's wet nurse, so that they would, be able to bond with them. And often the last name Esposito comes from that. It means orphaned or abandoned. And they actually made it illegal in Italy to have anybody with the new name of Esposito who didn't already had it, because there was such a stigmatism for these people that were just leaving their babies. So that's always like something when I always question if people are just disappearing. Did they die, or did they kind of get my just like a weird story. I was talking to my cousin's future's mother-in-law, and she had told me, because I was telling her I was into this, that her family had too many kids, and this woman is in her 60s. Her family had too many kids, and the family needed a car, so they actually traded this woman. Her name is Holly. They traded her as a baby for a car, and I was like, "What? What kind of car was this?" And like that is such a. I mean, like there's days when my kids drive me nuts, but like I'm not gonna get rid of them. Threaten.
Wow.
But yeah, people just, because they just needed things and they would just trade or whatever. So very interesting stuff. Also check out the orphan courts. They're in some places, because you can find orphan records that way.
Right. Good idea.
I was going to ask if you had any good stories of doing some research for some people, if you've come across any strange things.
Oh yeah, like all the time. I mean, even like in my own family, my grandfather, who's 90 years old, was always convinced that his father, or always, just totally believed his father was born in the Yonkers. And I found his father on an Italian passenger list under not Charles Guidotti, but Carlo Guidotti, but the same family. And I showed it to my grandpa, and I'm like, look at this. He was actually born in Italy. And my grandpa, like, I've never seen him cry or anything, but he started like crying, and he was just felt like his whole life was a lie. And I was kind of like, okay, I guess that wasn't as cool as I thought it was. But like that, something like that. I also found out that, another one of my ancestors, he came over to this country and he had another wife in this country. And then his wife was like, let me take the kids over to America, and like, surprise. And that didn't go over well at all. And like, you could tell like the battle in the paperwork, like going back and forth. And then this person changed their name, and like, then he declared her dead. It was like a really weird turn of events, but they ended up being buried in the same plot next to each other. So it was kind of like, all right, well, either the family ran out of money and, had to use one plot, or you guys just agreed to be cool with each other. So, there's a lot of weird things. And you'll even see like on the records, a friend of mine was doing some research, and for occupation, in a census record, the census record put whore, and it was kind of like, wow, like did that person just not like them? Like that was a little bit vicious, So especially with the newspaper articles, you can find some really crazy stuff because people just totally just let it out. It's just crazy stuff that they write. So there's a lot of fun things you can find. And I always tell people, if you move past the dates and the names, you're just trying to figure out that, you're not going to be into genealogy for a long period of time. But if you want to make this like a hobby and make it something you're interested in, really find the stories about people, really kind of invest in that. And that's what's going to keep you up at night till like 2 o'clock in the morning looking for this information and just piecing it together and making connections with other people. So yeah, that's my slogan or spiel, I guess I should say. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Or thank you everybody for coming and spending this hour with me. I really appreciate it. I really like talking. And if there's any other topics that I have a bunch of different things that I can present, but if there's anything in particular that anybody's interested in, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madeline, any other questions, or should we wrap it up, you think? Or?
Yeah, I don't see any other questions or any other comments, or if anybody else has any other suggestions for another program, or if you want me to share any information with the programmer. Looks like you guys like this program. Is that a affirmative?
Yeah.
Thumbs up?
Yes,
Everybody. Thanks.
very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I'll pass that along. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
I got a lot of great tips here, so I can't wait to have some free time so I can start digging in. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Also,
But I
if
know-
anybody, feel free to reach out. So
I was just going to say, but I know if I get stuck, Sarah, that I can always reach out to you.
I live right in Sound Beach too. So if anybody's bored, come on over. So
Wait, we can't not right now.
yeah. We'll sit in your car and we can talk. I love talking about this stuff. So
There we go. Okay.
What was your website again?
it's the Family Tree Climber. Family Tree Climber is somebody else. I don't know who they are, but I'm the Family Tree Climber. And my name is Sarah Gutman.
I have to say that I've been doing family research about 23 years now. And as soon as I start talking about something to my family, I see their eyes glaze over
Oh yeah.
and they're like, oh, here she goes again.
That's why I love doing these classes. I'm like, wow, I can talk to people. I got in trouble. I went to my brother's bridal shower the other day, and I got talking to my new sister's aunt about family tree stuff. So and he was like, we told you can't talk about that. And I was like, I wasn't saying anything bad. Like, I just wanted, so like, and I wrote him what I wrote, and I was, saying like, we can collaborate on our trees now, because now we have this new branch of the family. But yeah, I think anybody who's really into this is very familiar with the glaze that goes over the people's faces. Well, thank you all very much.
Wait, there might be something in the chat. Let me just double check. Oh, just a thank you, Sarah. There we go.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. Well, if there's no further questions, or did anybody, Linda, did you want to ask something, or?
No, it was very interesting. Thank you, Sarah.
Well, great. Thank you very
If I
much.
had more time, I just don't have all the time that you want, like the lady over here said. You got to find the time.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting and it's fun.
Oh, great. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed. So hopefully we do some more soon.
Terrific.
All right, well, everybody stay well.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. I'll see you later.
Take care.
Good night.
All right. Thanks, Madeline.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.